in game number 3 of Rift Rivals 2019.
You have to believe the leader of the FPX chant there was Doinby's wife. Every time leads that chant in the LPL. A lot of faith riding in this level 1 here, though.
You get to lead a pretty impressive invade. Turns out Pantheon level 1 targeted range stun. Thank you very much. You don't necessarily want to skill it because you want to start putting spears into the Aurelia. But that is among the scariest of level 1s. Here are the runes, by the way, Conqueror. So he's ready for a brawl. He feels like he's going to be TPing bot lane, getting in combat, and then getting some Conqueror value there. Conqueror versus Conqueror in the mid lane. The Ignite Pantheon, though. Remember, I'm an old man, so when I play, I always talk about my Pantheon mechanics.
Oh, yeah,
Doinby can redefine champions. You assume he's going to be lethality stacking. The only thing we know for sure is that at some point, the Cannon Barrage and that Grand Skyfall's going bot lane.
Well, Griffin now will set themselves up in this brush as FPX do at least sweep it. Tongue lash there from Lehens just to let them know that they were onto that little jig.
That level 1 has made it very known that bottom lane priority is there for FPX. They're going to be putting Viper and Lehens under an immense amount of pressure.
And they are spotting Sejuani while Gragas is full clearing the bot side jungle. The reason why this is significant is that when battle lines are redrawn, you have that counter pick in the mid lane, it's going to be very hard for Tarzan to return to the top red side jungle. It won't happen after the early jungling phase up. So on camp respawns, you know when those respawn timers are, and you go hunt the piggy. It's piggy hunting season for FPX.
Well,
wow.
Is the piggy going to do the hunting first? As she's top side of the map at the moment, as Tian's towards the
Fully
bottom
committed.
side. Yeah, they're looking for this. Doinby making his way down. Remember, he now has the reset on that passive. He can tank turret so incredibly effectively. Great flash to get Viper out of the way. There is all the respect here from Griffin.
And it's nice to see this side from the LPL teams, the sort of stuff that the LCK teams put on earlier today that they learned from China. China did it best. China did it first. Really nice tanking of the minion wave here means that Viper and Lehens, level 1 Tom Kench ain't got nothing to devour important. Here's Tarzan.
Yep, Gimgoon. Is he actually going to flash here? Winter's Wrath being held by Tarzan. Infernal Chains land, but no more, and no flash from Gimgoon. Really patient play here from the Gangplank.
But remember, that was really well done from Viper and Lehens early on, just completely disengaging away, because ultimately, wave was pushed into the mid lane. Doinby did lose creeps off that. You rehash that a few more times, you're really being put behind.
And you remember who was rehashing those sort of turret dives? The Talia Pantheon that Viper and Lehens ran in the spring final that they couldn't get a victory on against SKT in that 3-0 sweep. They are very good at freezing those minion waves, bringing in the jungler. FPX, Griffin had it scouted, but we're still seeing Doinby. He's got that Ignite, and Chovy is going to be on the defensive ebb in this matchup.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the summoner spells here because Chovy didn't have to teleport back to this lane. So
Once
you can
again.
see
Here we
the
go.
CS is
Round
even.
2.
Yep. Doinby level 4 this time as Griffin, yeah, they can smell it. They can smell it.
They actually hit the blast plant there, so it's kind of obvious.
But take a look at the wave, though. It's fully frozen in, so Lehens and Viper are just stuck here.
Value.
So when the fallback pattern for the Aurelia is crap, I got counterpicked. I'm going to just let this go under turret. It gives Doinby a very big invitation to go bot, and it loses Viper and Lehens more minions than it loses Doinby on their own. So it's very, very smart timings here from FPX.
And at the same time, accelerates Vayne through a lane that Griffin have obviously picked to try and nullify, right? The reason you put the awesome dude down there is to just clear against the Vayne and make sure she can't play as much League of Legends as she wants.
And there's a small extra wrinkle. Remember that you still need 1250 gold to get an item that makes this play harder, because with the E augment, you can actually push the wave, right? Because the minions can clear the backline. If you force back timings by these roam downs, if the best play for Viper is to basically leave lane with no flash and take another shot, you're never actually saving 1250 gold, and you're extending the time at which Lux and the Vayne can freeze the wave and bot.
Chovy at the moment has been doing absolutely fine, of course, because the Pantheon has been threatening bottom side, but as these levels tick up, I'm getting more and more terrified for the Griffin players.
a very important thing to take note of. Yeah, Doinby is not coming here just to be able to get the gank off. This is such a large wave with the deficit that's already being accrued by Viper.
Tarzan.
If they disengage away, then they lose this huge wave.
Tarzan has to walk up. He has to be here. Relieves pressure on other lanes. Doinby 3 roams bot before level 6.
Just insane. I look at this mid lane and I'm thinking, well, he's going to get level 6, then he's going to roam.
Nope.
But of course, this is Doinby. He's all about putting the pressure on ASAP. Does mean that there's a lead for Griffin top side of the map. We saw Tarzan did pay a visit up there. It did mean that Gimbun did have a health disadvantage, and Sword has had this wave shoved towards him a lot. Whether that's actually going to be impactful, though, as this game goes on, is the question, as Kleptomancy Victor is going to be in employment here on the Griffin side.
It is something we've seen from Deft and other LCK bot laners before. My question for Viper would be, are you going this because you were always going to go this, or are you going this because of gold values? We'll have to hold the point for now as Tian comes to contest this.
Very early Ocean Drake is going to be very useful here for Griffin as Flawless Duet doesn't land. The man drop is coming in. The dragon is stolen, but now the fight may also go the same way. The Pantheon grabs the first blood. Viper is well and truly dead, and the LPL in game number 3 have finally come alive. Double kill for Doinby.
Now, blink of an eye. Griffin thinks it's uncontested and dropped on its head. Pantheon gets a double kill off of it.
And that's what globals are all about. They subvert those standard plays around Drake. You're going to watch the replay here. The moment the contest comes in, they could have tried to completely get out. Yes, Viper and Lehens rotate first, but Lehens flashes in too late. Not going to get much value out of his health bar. And it's just so easy for LWX to stun the no-flash Victor into a wall. Griffin saw a Drake take that wasn't there.
Yeah, disaster for Griffin strikes very early in this game. The gold is, of course, not something worth mentioning at this stage, but the control around this map is all about FPX.
And what a first item from Doinby. Tiamat Rush on the Pantheon. Not lethality to do more Q damage. He's going to push and roam, as he has already been doing oh so reliably.
He's going to teach Chovy how you're supposed to play these push and roam champions, because the talent left a little bit to be desired in their most recent LPL bout.
One thing that, with the build that Viper has been going for, consistently being pressured, as you're already seeing, he needs to have Lehens be able to CS for him, farm up so he can get to his quest gold. So this is, I would say, an adaptation by Viper with how the lane has been just grossly against him.
And that would be my guess too, Raz, because if you think about the lane state so far, a lot of freezing, you're desperate to try to push in, right? But if you know you're just going to be camped forever, maybe your job is to thin the minions and hope that Tom Kench last hits most of them. So it's going to be difficult. You got to do the math here. 4,400 gold to 4,700. It's actually only a 300 gold lead for LWX and Chris.
Yeah, not much of a difference there, as LWX is going to go for that trade, does proc the Silver Bolts with the Condemn towards the end. And Viper takes a lot of damage down there. Doinby now in this mid lane, just clearing things out like we were talking about. You can see the amount of respect that Chovy is paying to this Pantheon.
Take a look at Sidrani's pathing. She knows the timing is right, that the Pantheon is going to be on this side of the map.
I'm not surprised anymore that there's 4 people on the bottom side of the map. Certainly does seem to be the FPX game plan, and it's not changing, but is there anything Griffin can actually do about it?
Well, this is FPX's red side jungle. They've been there since level 1. They own this, even though it should be Griffin's, right, based on map geography. So hard to play against this Pantheon.
The man drop coming in once again. Tarzan able to get out of the way, but Doinby so far forward, the cask is good, and that is 2 real easy kills, and they're both on the Pantheon.
Lehens just trying to get the hell out. He'll be able to bail out with his short-range hop, but this is FPX not allowing Griffin to play standard League of Legends at all.
Can they play any League of Legends at all?
They should be queuing for TFT right now. They ain't playing League of Legends.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's what they have been doing.
Occam's raise is getting closer, Atlas.
Okay. The 4 early kills on the Pantheon. 4!
Yeah, that's a big number. Way more than the 2 that it was before. So this is now going to be kind of all the items, right? He's got the Tiamat, he's got the first Dirk, there's going to be more, and they've got the Mercs. Unfortunately, Griffin keep thinking they can defend things, because against normal comps, you can do this, but unfortunately, we're talking Pantheon mid, so there ain't no defending. Love this from Tian. The E-Flash into the R, they get the extra kill. The boar hunting season hasn't been the main point, it ends up being a side point. And all Griffin can do is grin and bear and say, I think Pantheon doesn't scale that well, but how many pro games do you have to back up that knowledge?
Yeah, and also it doesn't really matter which champion you are if you've got this sort of start to the game as well. We talk about scaling, things like that. I mean, a lot of it has to do with making it to a point where there's relative item parity, and that's just probably not going to happen in this particular case. It's going to be about Griffin trying to play around the Pantheon, but the problem with this strategy just in general is that playing around Pantheon doesn't happen because FPX can so easily play around his ultimate.
You say item parity. It feels more like an item parody right now. So, yeah, it's kind of what we saw in the previous game where Faker was able to completely outroam the Lucian. This matchup is one. The Pantheon wins, but the level of roam here has been unbelievable. Gragas is back.
Yep, that's going to be the stun on Achovi. Has to flash. Flawless Duet is feeling like it's got an ironic name. Gets
a couple of globals. Gets one global in the cask, and the global from the GP, so at least it's something, but that's flashed down. Guess what? Easier for the Pantheon to roam again.
And also direct your eyes towards the build that LWX is going for, a possible wit's end there, recognizing that the Victor damage is what he's dealing with the most.
Yep, there's an R button available for Doinby as Griffin do manage to take down this Rift Herald. They can put Shelly on the top side of the map, get Sword an advantage here. In theory, Mountain Drake has been started from FPX. Sword has already taken a hell of a lot of turret plates here. Infernal Chains onto Gimgoon, but he does break them relatively easily, and Tarzan up here on the top side does have the ability to put down that Rift Herald. So now an opportunity for Griffin to find some money back, but I feel like there's been almost too much damage done around the map for that to be a problem as solo gold goes to LWX.
And you know what? It does feel that way, but you adjust your attention up and you're like, okay, it's not at 5,000 gold. It's 5 kills to 0, but the quest has been coming in. So the Victor's getting gold from somewhere. The Aatrox is huge, but needs to find a teamfight entrance that right now they don't own the map for. And Pantheon late game, not very respectful. So there is still some potentials here, but then you counterweigh that by FPX has been on the front foot. They have an 80 carry and Griffin doesn't. It's murky, but we're not ready to write off Griffin just yet. FPX need kind of one more skirmish or 5-man wipe, and then I agree.
Okay. Well, there's the other man drop. Viper going to take a hell of a lot of damage here. We're holding on to the Devour for as long as possible. Lehens finally pops it and goes golden. Chovy is going to turn up underneath this turret now as everyone at FPX is so down low. Griffin have found it. See you later, mate. That is so much money going to the Griffin mid laner. And they just were unflappable and answered back.
Meanwhile,
Tarzan's going to be able to find the ultimate here as Crisp. He will get a lot of shielding there from that W as Tarzan doesn't have a hell of a lot of damage. Aftershock does some work, and that's a Sejuani. Not a whole lot of damage there. Maybe I got overexcited.
But they were holding so much to be able to just wait out Lehens. Lehens just sitting by Viper, who is under attack. Bought enough time for the teleports to come through.
But at their best, Griffin is unflappable. They don't win every early game, but every late game, every team fight, 8,000 gold down, they would find a moment. And the fact that they hold on to the Devour, exactly. When do you Devour? You got to think about the cooldowns you're getting through. And actually, I believe LWX stunned a minion when he went for his E at the end there. Would it have mattered? Hard to say. It means they get no kill, though, and the 3, including a casual 700 to Chovy, is big.
It's actually gigantic because this early game lead is something that they needed. Okay, we're going to check this out as Chris. Yeah, he died.
Really, Lux. She needed to get to a pajama party really fast.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It was sleepy time.
Huh. Well, that is actually a pretty big shift. Look at that. The gold lead is now nothing.
Yeah.
Gold League is gone. Can FBX keep the map state they had, where they owned the Griffin red side jungle, and make those Pantheon plays predictable? Because guess what? If Pantheon is scouted on the way for his Grand Skyfall, you turn on him, he is very squishy.
Yeah, an easy Trinity Force pickup by Chovy as well.
I was going to talk about that. Perfect Hex score is also in. Sword has his Black Cleaver as well as a Caulfield's Warhammer, so he has all of that CDR that he's looking for. And this is all before Doinby's even completed his first item yet. Yes, he has a lot of important pieces, but the problem is that this is a snowball champion, and he's not going to be as relevant as this game goes on. Yes, Gimgoon and LWX will be able to pick up that mantle, but it wasn't supposed to be now that things are turning.
But how do FPX pay their wins, Stitwani?
Yeah, they're not going to have an opportunity to here as Crisp has to try and get out of there. That's a great disengage on the cast, though, as Tian's no button is pretty strong.
FPX can still be in one spot faster than Griffin. You can't answer Grand Skyfall and the Cannon Barrage, so they can play around where they want to set up pressure. So we're going to need to keep our eyes peeled on the minimap to work that out, because there's always going to be an area where Griffin can't be ahead of.
Yeah, very smart positioning, or just like, you know, lane assignments here coming in from FPX. I mean, my eyes are primarily on the Vayne, because if we're just talking about handing the mantle to the late game power of Vayne and GP, the range disadvantage that I would say Vayne has been really prevalent in the last fight, where Victor honestly is doing very well in terms of the gold economy.
But no AD carry muddies team fights a lot. Yes, Aurelia and Aatrox can do a lot, but it doesn't always work as reliably with a melee champion. So having a GP and a Vayne in this game makes it so muddy. I'm not willing to call it one way or the other. To me, it's one of those games where I say whichever team has the map vision lead and makes the enemy come to them has an insanely large lead.
Well, we'll see who's going to be able to orchestrate this one better, because right now the gold is telling us no stories at all. So when it comes to working out who's ahead, I'm right with you there, Papa. I'm just not sure how this is going to go. I look over and I think, oh, Pantheon, and it's past, you know, if it gets past 20 minutes, it's feeling worse and worse for the Pantheon team. But then I look at Gangplank and Vayne, and I'm like, well, it's past 20 minutes. It's time to win.
It's one of those things where we could just be narrative and have one color caster say one team, the other one say the other team, and no one's wrong. There is a lot of equitability there, but we're leaving our working out for everyone to decide, because I think if you poll 10 people, you get 10 different answers.
Especially depending on where they're fans of as well when it comes to the LPL and the LCK. So much riding on this for both sides. History tells us that if the LPL can take game number 3, things get even more scary for LCK. Who the hell do you turn in
on game 5 if Damwon lose the next game? Who would you even choose? SKT would probably be the one.
Kingzone?
But you think it would probably be SKT because of their runs on the board. That would be another question, given we had the controversy last year with the Freak of Freaks being sent out.
Yeah. It's a very confusing one. I wouldn't want to be the one making that decision, as Drake number 3 goes over to FPX uncontested. Griffin set up here in the mid lane, and look at the control around this Baron buff. You can tell where they want to be putting their pressure. As Sword waiting for a red buff to spawn. Doinby's going to come down, deny anything. That has been the FPX jungle this entire game.
But the Baron pressure that Griffin have is fairly empty. I mean, they have, you know, good damage from Aurelia and the Victor, but they do not want to get man dropped. There's actually quite a bit of power in FPX if there's ever a Baron fight.
One way not to get man dropped, not on your terms, is to try to be a focal point on the map and bring the Pantheon to you. That would have been a 2v2 attempt by the Pantheon. Instead, don't be looking for an aggressive move, but he's caught between two options. It means he's losing farm because he's not actually setting the pace of the game like he was in the early laning phase.
And right now, Chovy is very, very pushed up, but he has Tarzan in his back pocket. And like you say, I feel like the defensive play here from Griffin has been so good. And I think this is the difference between what was happening at Rift Rivals last time. It felt like when Doinby did this craziness to the LCK, we just got surprised. We had no idea what to do. This time it worked for FPX at the beginning, but then Griffin adapted.
Yes.
They changed their mindset, they changed the play style, and now we've got a very even game.
So Griffin showed us last when they went up against, you know, JD. JD threw the kitchen sink with the Bard and everything, but the composure there from Griffin was something that was a standout point for them.
Two composure compliments would be that one, and also, right, Nuggery after he was epically ultra-camped in the TOP series as well. So those are areas that have worked. If
Being
we
able
did
to ultra camp and ultra carry is an interesting combo in one game.
A difficult one, Atlas. And if we tab to the gold here, we don't have that ability right now. I'm sure you'd see the gold lead. It might actually be there for the Aurelia in the mid lane at this point, right? With the 2 kills, with the CS lead that's now growing. Doinby was so far ahead of the clock in terms of how much gold he had and how many items he had when he finished Mercs, Tiamat, and Dirk. But now, at 19 minutes, I would actually say he's back at the clock. So that's a Pantheon that really is at risk of being outscaled.
And now trying to finish off a Black Cleaver to cling to some late game relevance when it comes to the damage, but it's not really going to help him burst anyone right now. You could imagine that Doinby's build that he wanted to go for was double serrated Dirk items after that initial Tiamat to just win more, right? But he just can't do it in this game.
the map state here. There is obvious inroads to once again play around the bot red side jungle for FBX, but Griffin are being very controlled, playing around control vision to push sideways and never actually give that obvious man drop spot. So the most threatened, of course, is the Pantheon so far, as Chovy in a side lane with items does outscale the Pantheon 1v1.
Yeah, but it seems like, you know, items is the main point to look towards, because FPX, they have been just going for an arms race. Specifically, you can see the Black Cleaver point that you mentioned, Atlas, and we're getting to a point where a minute and 50 off until the Infernal Dragon. Both teams have certainly recognized it.
Yep, 500 gold lead you can see almost for Chovy in the mid lane somehow against this 4-1-0 Pantheon that just had the run of the early game.
But we've seen the workings. You know, we saw the math here. We don't have to like, wow, how did it happen? We saw the counter gank where they actually baited the over-aggressive man drop, the shutdown gold, and resetting the map to never be about Pantheon pushes in Aurelia in a nice matchup early and roams bot lane. That was the entire story until it really wasn't. And now we're waiting for FBX to show us the second way forward, because I think we're already around the time where packing those control wards, going up to an objective and saying, we'll outplay you, might have to be the way for FBX. Is playing 3 lanes, I don't think suits them unless they're getting that Pantheon super aggressive once again.
Well, we've got a minute on the clock until the Infernal Drake spawns. It feels like the Drake counter was wanting some action here. Onto the Rift. That is what we're going to get, so you have to believe that Griffin are probably going to fight for this one. Haven't put up much against either of the other two, but now things feel very, very different. LWX doesn't quite have Blade of the Ruined King completed yet, but 2 items are already there.
And I think that whole range discrepancy that I was talking about before should be thrown out the window, just because of that pick potential from both Lux and the cast from Gragas is going to start the fight. Even the Tahm Kench is rendered useless when the cask actually comes out for the person who has been rescued.
Now let's zoom in on what Victor built, because obviously we were kind of surprised by the late GP10, went to the perfect Hex Score, that part made sense. It is going to be Luden's as the next completed item, so it's a lot of CDR, but it's also sit mid and always shove with Tahm Kench there to devour. So mid lane push is perma push. The side lanes, the Aurelia and Aatrox, are going to both outscale Pantheon in the 1v1. So FBX actually don't want this to be the map state where more and more gold means we get to 4-5 item territory where the comps are more explored, especially in and around the Pantheon.
Yeah, that 1-3-1 is actually really scary here on the side of Griffin, just because the Victor's wave clear is way better than any other traditional 80 carry would have been in the same scenario.
And the 80 carry that's matching in the mid lane sucks at wave clearing. It's Vayne, right?
Yeah,
she
doesn't even have
clear.
a static shiv.
Nope. That's some old analysis, but something that she would have to go in old wave clear metas. So right now, it's only inching forward for Griffin, but it's not the explosive game that FBX really wanted.
Well, right now, they're just going to pack it up, head towards this mid lane. The Grand Skyfall is on deck here for Doinby. He had an itchy trigger finger for it in the early game, but now he's playing so much more reserved. 23 minutes are on the clock, and the Infernal Drake has been started. Sword in position for this flank. Doinby as well. He will have a circle to put down, and there's Sword's World Ender. LWX now in a 1v1. He doesn't want it. All 4 of the Drakes have gone to FPX, but now the fight is going to break out. Vanguard's edge goes completely wide, as now it's FPX trying to get out. Doinby is going to get stunned. That flawless duet was exactly that. The blast cone as well was fantastic, but Griffin are trying to escape. Tian so fast as Chovy is going to be put into the death chamber after that one. It's a decent little stopwatch, but not enough to get any joy.
Yeah, 2 for 1 overall. It was so close. Chovy almost got out of it, but the Infernal Dragon over to FPX with that steal.
And now they're running towards Baron here. Notice that from FBX. They really want to reset here to Griffin. Tarzan has no health, but has to stick around.
Blast Cone gets him towards this brush towards the top side. He does, of course, have that smite available.
No control ward.
This is definitely going to be a one-way mission into the Baron pit. As Lahens is going to turn up. No smite from that unsealed spellbook. And Tarzan dives in, but doesn't take the Baron. And Raz, the OPL fan, the colors are showing there as they dive into the pit. But the 50-50 is won from FPX.
And a moment like that, there's no problem with that call. 2-level advantage for the Grog is so important. A tale of 2 smites in this one. This one comes in, pandemonium around it, but 2 for 1 with the take here as we get to see the end of it. I love the flank angle from LWX.
Yeah, and a lot of time was bought by Doinby while the flank was coming through. And take a look at Tien as he chases down Chovy as well to commit for the kill.
And also the reason Chovy's ultimate missed was because Doinby changed targets with his W to avoid it. Absolutely unbelievable. That is the Pantheon mechanics that we've been looking for.
Well, impressive and no doubt. Almost no difference in damage between Pantheon and Aurelia, but that moment, a critical one. When it comes to the Baron, yes, they didn't know Sejuani was there, but they also knew she couldn't see. She didn't have a control ward to put over the wall, so they needed Lehens to walk up. It was close, no cigar.
Chovy going to get comboed, but that's going to be a support Lux, guys, so we're not getting too upset about it.
But yeah, they're committing to the push, and that's the issue. If they were able to get the chip down, then they can commit and affirm that push in towards the inhibitor as well.
While it's a sexy 1-3-1 against the Pantheon before, with Baron, you can't make those same pushes, and Pantheon's really good at forcing an agenda by turret diving, gets that free shield on the man drop. No stasis available though, no stopwatch. Pantheon was going to match, now he's run down the mid lane and looking for an ult.
Yep. The wave clear is working out relatively well, but this pesky little siege minion is doing some work. Sword makes his way back, but the ultimate goes wide and the turret is going to fall. The cask is fantastic. Goodbye, Aatrox, as now the man drop comes forward, but it's all for zoning, and the inhibitor will go down 26 minutes into the game. FPX, they're right back in the driver's seat.
Yep.
And I'm mincing my words because I wasn't expecting it. Griffin looked so strong moving into this, but once again, doesn't matter what the team's called. If Doinby's in that mid lane, you have to be scared.
And there's just so much that was happening. I felt like just last year when Doinby went in with his Kled, it was just about the Kled. It was the Kled show. Right now, I'm looking across the board. LWX and Tien in the last few fights are really crucial, and then the crucial smite steal that was, Tarzan was looking for, just thrown away and a great secure by Gragas.
And we can throw away our analysis when the Baron buff comes in, because suddenly Victor can't just wait there for free. Love the ult there, on point from the Gragas and Tien. The man drop just a zone away, gets them everything they want, and with another 40 seconds left on Baron, already casual 5,000 odd gold, 4,600 so far from that Baron buff.
Yeah, not exactly an insurmountable lead at this stage in the game, but with 4 Drakes on the board, with the fact that they will be able to put Griffin in a really difficult circumstance when that Elder Drake is on the table, look to see when this Mountain Drake comes up. You might see FPX actually wait to try and force an earlier Elder.
And it's one of those moments where, the goal's going towards the Pantheon. All the discussion about the new pick, 100% sure. But Tien's actually played this game, in my eyes, perfectly.
Yep.
And if we're talking about MVP material, he's had a stellar performance to keep this team in the game.
I think, honestly, the early play here was so clean from Tien when it came to the jungle, vertical jungling into targeting the bot lane. It's forced Griffin back onto the back foot, and one more team fight to FPX. Game just ends.
Exactly. Griffin, they're looking for that one team fight that can bring them back in. However, they have been able to save this inhibitor turret. And LWX, despite his low range, is still able to walk up and get these auto attacks on the inhibitor.
With the Wit's End and the stopwatch, if you don't get to LWX, he's still Vayne. He's still going to lap up these melee champions trying to dive against him. So you have to fully commit instantly, get a kill before the man drop comes in, or otherwise watch the structures go down.
Yep, this inhibitor just dies in front of the eyes of Griffin and all of the fans here in this stadium.
Silence the crowd that was losing their minds before. FPX want to keep this a series. We were all greedy for 5 games. You know what? I would have taken the cheeky 3 up in first 2. I'll be honest.
I'm feeling a bit stressed now. I have to agree with you.
But I'm down for it going all 5 if the LPO can continue the fight back. And what a mouth-watering proposition, and what a scary one for Dumb One Gaming, a team with no experience, but it's only Nuclear that's really played around the world to come in the next game against JDG.
It's going to be big. Remember, just being able to extend the series, and then you throw it towards, as you said, JDG, a team that plays up under the circumstances and pressure, 2 teams to be able to throw you into a game 5 where you'd have to expect, IG thinking clearly, what should we do to come back into this one and give back to the fans?
But does it change? Because I came into this day kind of picking the champions and picking who will be played, and so far I've got them right. I said, okay, if we do see a King's Zone victory, I think for sure SKT come in game 2, Griffin are going to come in game 3. But the game 5, if Griffin lose, gets a bit more muddy. It really will be so interesting both sides, because what about FPX coming in game 5? I assumed it would be IG1, IG5. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think with an IG loss in game number 1, I think you do bring in FPX in game number 5. But the question mark on the side of the LCK is one that I almost cannot answer right now. I just don't even have a good idea.
And now I kind of want it, because if your game 3 champ is Pantheon, what's Doinby's game 5 champ?
I don't know.
What do the bans even look like?
Tryndamere?
Pantheon
Does he
clan
have
first round.
Does he have to play Tryndamere? Maybe it's Middle Sticks. I don't know.
Criddlesticks?
Criddlesticks?
Yeah.
Oh, the dream.
All right, Griffin have to try to contest this Baron, but FBX control all the territory. Remember, in champs of that, we said whoever controls the vision have a big lead.
Yep, teleport in from Sword, Umbral dash over, but he takes a barrel for his trouble. Doinby waiting in man drop range.
But they have a great wave up top lane, though. They can just jump straight to it. Griffin are out of position.
Yeah, inside track, and now FPX make them walk through this jungle. And in fact, that Skyfall could be utilized in this jungle if Griffin moved forward. That was just a guaranteed turret and great play from FPX.
Can't see the wards. Don't know how many are left in the inventories of Griffin. No spotting available. Jump over the wall, trying to stay in formation. Aatrox's pretty far away.
Yep, a lot of damage being done to this Baron, already below half health as the Vayne's Rage Blade stacks up. It gets so scary. Lahen's moving quickly.
Really?
As the ultimate once again going to go wide. They still go in. LWX not even going low just yet as the Guardian Angel is popped so quickly. And FPX are just too far ahead. They've got too much damage and they will be keeping the LPL alive in this best of 5.
Blown away. And you have to believe with the death timers that you have in front of you, that has to be the game for FPX.
Super well-deserved victory for FPX. They came in with a plan, more than we can say, for the first 2 LPL teams there, and they execute again and again, even after a setback. They're the ones that come up smiling, and we will be going to a game number 4 after this last bit of action happens.
Yeah, the way they were able to recalibrate after losing that dive under that inner turret. It was Doinby changing that playstyle and handing over the reins to LWX and to Gimgoon to carry. Unbelievable team fighting in the later stages as well. And FPX keepers alive, and you just saw Doinby. The huge smile on Raz's face is telling it all right now as well. FPX walk away